Night Stalker Part 2. May 14, 1985. The Night Stalker went back to Monterey Park. He broke into the home of Bill Doy and his wife Lillian. When Bill went for his gun, Ramirez shot him in the face. Bill died of his injuries in the hospital. He robbed the house and then cuffed Lillian and raped her. May 29, 1985, Ramirez was driving a stolen Mercedes. He was on his way to Monrovia, California. He stopped at the house of Mabel, 83, and her sister Florence Lane, 81. He found a hammer in the kitchen. He bludgeoned and bound Florence, 81, then bound and bludgeoned Mabel, and took an electric cord and proceeded to electric shock her. After raping Florence, he used her sister's lipstick and drew a pentagram on her thigh and on the wall of both bedrooms. 2 days later, the women were found, but Mabel died of her injuries. The next day, Ramirez drove the Mercedes to Burbank and broke into the home of Carol Kyle. At gunpoint, he bound and cuffed the woman and her 11-year-old son and robbed the house. He released Kyle to show him where the valuables were, then repeatedly sodomized her. Ramirez said that if she looked at him, he would cut her eyes out. He left the scene after taking the child out of the closet and tying them up together. July 2nd, 1985, he drove a stolen Toyota to Arcadia. Then he randomly selected a house, the house of Mary Louise Cannon, 75. He quietly entered the home and found her sleeping. He bludgeoned her, then repeatedly stabbed her with a 10-inch butcher knife from her kitchen. She died of her injuries. July 5th, 1985, he broke into a home in Sierra Madre and bludgeoned 16-year-old Whitney Bennett with a tire iron as she slept. He couldn't find a knife in the kitchen, so he attempted to strangle her with a phone cord. When sparks flew from the phone cord, he fled the house believing Jesus Christ had saved her. Bennett survived the beating, from which she received 478 stitches in her scalp. The Night Stalker committed quite a few crimes, as you will hear about in Part 3.